How's it going, everybody? Spartacus here. Just wanted to give a quick rundown of the balance changes I want to see at Smash 4. As y'all know, there was a recent announcement that a new Smash game was announced. We have no idea, some idea actually, if it's a new game entirely or a port. For now, let's just say that it's a port, and I'll give you a rundown of what I think could be done when this game comes to Switch. I narrowed it down to 16 characters. There's a few more changes that I want to do to other characters, but these are the most significant ones. The ones that really bugged me. So we're gonna start off with Bayonetta, and the move that we're gonna start off with is this right here, Witch Time. Now, the way I would balance this is by reducing the amount of active frames from 16 to 6 or 7, make the window like really tiny. I don't think that's too unfair because it is like the best counter in the game. So by doing this, it adds an element of risk to it. Next thing I would do is there's a problem with her landing lag that's supposed to like do that right there, give her a massive amount of landing lag the more specials that she does. What I would do about that right there, just canceling all that with the Witch Time, is have the Witch Time add to it if you land with it, instead of canceling out everything. Last thing I would change about Bayonetta is her forward air. There needs to be some sort of recovery frames after you just do single forward air, or two. Because she can actually carry a lot of characters off stage, like Fox, and it's pretty much unavoidable. So that needs more recovery, and that's all the changes I would do to Bayonetta. Now, as for Cloud, first thing I would do, he has to do that and that alone to gain limit. He cannot gain limit by either taking damage or dealing damage. He has to get some space and start charging, like that. And we'd be seeing a limit a lot less in battle because of that. Next thing I do is get rid of all the mobility nerfs that he gets from gaining limit. That means his running speed, fall speed, and air speed would be the same, regardless if he had limit or not. And the final thing I do is this move right here. I would reduce the active frames on that in half. Currently, it's active from frames 7 to 25. I'm going to make that 7 to 16 so that he can't juggle as hard. It won't get in the way of his combos at all, because the startup would be exactly the same, so you can still combo people to death, but by doing this, by making it half of what it is now, people would be able to land against him a lot better. And the final change I would do is to his up B. I don't know if it was a glitch or it was intentional, but there's a window on his up B where at the height of it, if he gets hit and hits against a wall, he is unable to attack. So I would make it so that he is able to attack that. So next up we've got Diddy Kong, and there's only two changes that I would do to this character. First of all, I'd reduce the damage on his down tilt from 5.5 to 3. And that would do two things. First of all, of course, is less damage out of his combos. And second, it would reduce the shield stun whenever he does a down tilt to somebody. So it won't be as mashable as it is currently. Next thing I do, change that. I would make the auto cancel window a little stricter, so that they can't so they gotta be a little more specific with the timing, so they can't just short hop. In exchange, I would reduce the landing lag just a little bit, just so it's not as punishing whenever they miss the auto cancel window. And as for Mario, This right here. The hitbox on that is way too big, and there's no reason for that to be intangible in any way. So that would make him easier to edge guard. And finally, for up smash, there's about 14% there. I changed it to 10, which would also reduce its killing power. Next up the bat, we got Fox and Rosalina. My main problem with Fox, he's really hard to land against. I think he's actually one of the hardest characters to land against. So I think what would alleviate this without taking that away from him too much, I would reduce the active frames on his up air down to 1. Which I think is fair because it would not take away from his combos, it would just make it harder to juggle with. And to hurt his fencing game a little bit, I would make this 2-frame jab a frame 4 jab instead. And as for Rosalina, I would decrease the fall speed that Luma gets whenever he gets hit in the air. So currently it's at 0.064 fall speed. I decrease that to 0.04. That way, Rosalina doesn't always have easy access every time you hit him. And I would increase the ending lag on this move right here. Gravitational pull. There's so many characters in this game that are actually pretty good, but get shut down by Rosalina just because of that right there. So by increasing the ending lag just a little bit, yeah, I think it would alleviate some of the stress that those characters receive. So to round out the top tiers I'm covering, we got Corrin here. It was hard to decide what to do, because obviously this is what keeps her up there. And if you just take that away, she would slip down pretty far, but I think I found a way to, kind of find a middle-of-the-road situation to it. So whenever she pins on shield and lunges, I would make the lunge go a little bit closer to the opponent so that she doesn't rocket too far away. There's a lot of characters in this game that really struggle to punish pin. And I think that would alleviate the thing just a little bit. And the next thing I would do is kind of the same thing with Mario. She has intangibility on Dragon Ascent from frames 10 to frame 17. So she already has a mediocre recovery. You make that even more mediocre. Give her a defined weakness. As for Sonic, it was not nearly as hard to figure out what to do with him. He has intangible on that move from frames 1 to 6. Get rid of that. In exchange, I decided that you could boost up his fencing game a little, so you could increase the range of his jab, down tilt, and forward tilt to help out his footsie games. And I think that'd be a pretty fair exchange. Next up, we got one of my favorite characters in this game to play, Charizard. I said Charizard. First of all, there's a problem with his up B, then that it doesn't really auto-link very well. That needs to be fixed. And next is his Nair. It's a really useless move. It has the same amount of landing lag as Bowser does. And as you know, that's just an infinitely better Nair. It's even unsafe on hit at low percents. So I would make its auto cancel window more generous. So it has like some sort of use. It would still be unsafe on hit. But there's some things you could do, like a cross up on shield. And maybe run away because he's pretty fast. And final things I would do is to his mobility. His ground speed is amazing. That doesn't need to be changed. But his air speed should be bumped up from 0.97 to 1.1. And his fall speed from 1.4 to 1.6. I think that would help him in the neutral pretty significantly. As for Pac-Man, what I would do is make a few adjustments to the trampoline. What I would do is he would not go into free fall until he bounced on it for a second time. So right there. If he only does that, he would not go into free fall. That would help his recovery a little bit, but more importantly, it would help his setup game much better, because he could just go into aerial instead of having to land quickly. This down air right here is terrible. Completely useless. It has a landing lag of 33, doesn't do that much damage, doesn't lead into anything, so I would decrease the landing lag from 33 to 13, so it's a somewhat safe landing option, and he can actually use his down air at some points. 11% is pretty measly, considering how much risk is involved in it. And I think this is the most obvious change I would make. I'd make it so that all the grabs are active from frame 12 to 39, rather than just chopping up the active frames into 3 different groups, which that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen in a fighting game, bar none. So fix that, please. Now, I thought of a few ways to flesh out Dr. Mario, make him much more of his own character while making him usable. First thing I would do, okay, that's the only thing I want that is like Mario. I want him to be able to stall himself in the air with the cape, which would obviously help out his recovery, among other things. I would also increase the weight from 98 to 104, as right now it's 98, just like Mario. I think if it's going to be a slower, more powerful character, he should also be more heavy. And I would decrease the recovery frames, because the FAF on these pills right now is 53. I'd make that 43 so that he could camp a little more if he wanted to. And to solidify him as like the bruiser version of Mario, I would increase the damage of up air, back air, dash attack, fair, forward air, and his jab. And now Bowser Jr. I could go on about this little sucker for years, but condense this a little bit. It's very easy to get out of that jab just by jumping, jumping. So fix that, make it so that's much harder. You can do that by making the rapid jab finisher come out a touch faster. I would increase the range of his grabs. His pivot grab is fine, but his normal grab is pretty crappy. As you see, I'm just like touching his coat, but nothing's happening. And I would make forward throw a weak kill throw, which would complement his back throw, which is also kill throw. I would shave 7 recovery frames off of this move right here, so that he can get it out a little faster. It's such a huge part of his neutral, so I think it could be better. And I thought of ways to improve this move right here. First of all, I would make it come out frame 30 instead of 43, which is still pretty slow, but can still be somewhat usable. And I would have the ball give it more active frames. Like as you can see there, as soon as it touches the ground, it has no hitbox. Make that change. You could have it do small damage, but make it a threat of some kind, even if it touches the ground. And I would allow him to, when he's charging it like this, I would allow him to shield cancel it. And last change to this move, I would up the damage of some kind, because of how it comes out so slow, and it's so easy to dodge or shield or whatever. So I think giving a little more damage could serve as more reward for a move that's so hard to hit. Especially the fully charged version. And last thing I would like to do is give him very weak heavy armor. Like, just enough so that he can survive the weak spot of Sheik's Nair or Yoshi's down air, because he gets getting pretty easily by those characters. So next up we got Palutena. And what I wanted to do with Palutena is like increase the utility of her special moves. So I think it would be cool if whenever she does auto reticle, it will actually home in on her targets. As if the opponent's just moving around, it's practically impossible to actually hit with. You could remedy this by giving the move a little bit more recovery so that she can't just spam it and pressure easily. And as for counter, it's hardly a counter. It does like 6% damage and barely pushes them. So what I think you could do is have it so that she can get follow-ups off her counter if she lands it, such as a neutral air or an up air, something like that. It'd be cool. As for Zelda, for whatever reason, she goes into free fall whenever she does Din's Fire, so fix that. I would also allow her, kind of like what I said for Bowser Jr., I would allow her to shield cancel Phantom Slash. I would also decrease the landing lag of forward air and back air so that they're not as risky to go for. And because her forward air comes out at frame 9 and her back air comes out at frame 6, I would increase the knockback whenever she lands a strong forward air. So last on our list, we've got what I consider to be the two absolute worst characters in this game. So, I want to start with Jigglypuff. First things first, make that safe on hit. I don't think that's too much to ask. You do this by increasing the base knockback, which would be pretty simple. Make rollout, this move right here, make that shield cancelable, just like what I would do for Bowser Jr. and Zelda. As for rest, first of all, I get rid of that flower effect. Just have it do like the huge knockback every time, make it more reliable. And I would also decrease the recovery time on it whenever she lands it. She can keep the recovery time if she whiffs or if the opponent blocks it, but if she lands it, I don't see any reason why she shouldn't just get up and get back into the action. And lastly, for aerials, I want to decrease the startup on her back air. Currently, back air starts up at frame 12. I'd start up at frame 8. Same with forward air and neutral air. Just shave off 4 recovery frames, or so for fair, we'll go down from 8 to 4, and for nair, it'd be 6 to 3. And that's what I would do for Jigglypuff. Finally, we got ourselves the king himself. Now, first things first. It only takes 2% of a damage to reflect that. I bumped that up to 4. You need a 4% move to actually reflect that, so they'd be a little more useful as a projectile. Make that move safe on hit. At low percent, say you can hit them and they'll still hit you back for it. I restored the airspeed of his to what it was before. Like in 1.1.4, they nerfed his airspeed even though he was already the worst at it. Because right now he's currently slower than Shield Monado Shulk, which that should never be the case. I would make Goro stick to walls 100% of the time. So right now it's like RNG if it sticks or not. And that would definitely help out his ledge trapping game. I would adjust the hit regions on his down tilt, because if you're fighting a really skinny character, you can actually miss the down tilt if you hug him closely. Because the down tilt hitbox is not close enough to his body. And finally, for Jet Hammer, increase the knockback so that it'll actually kill at a decent, reasonable percent. And that's all the changes I'd make. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I'd like to hear your thoughts. Goodbye.